On this episode, we are interviewing a very interesting guest on a very interesting topic. Our guest today is Dr. Robert Hurst, author of the book Life's Fingerprint: How Birth Order Affects Your Path Throughout Life. As an orthodontist for 35 years, Dr. Hurst used his knowledge of birth order to help his patients get the most from their braces and retainers. Along the way, he developed some interesting theories about birth order that takes it to a whole new level that can help you be happier and live better lives. So, push your siblings out of the way and join us for this episode we're calling Fours Just Want to Have Fun, Double Birth Orders, and How to Simplify Your Life. Enjoy! This is a different world for me, and it requires less specificity and perfection. And so as a result, I'm good with it. We'll just make it work. in true number 4 fashion.
Number 4s like to have fun. If it's not fun, you don't want to do it.
Oh, you know what's funny is I've been saying that lately to Susan, my friend. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm 53. You might not be able to tell that. But so my friend Susan.
You're always the baby.
Yes, I'm always the baby. But my friend Susan and I, we've been talking about, we're in this transition period in our lives. And I've been telling her, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it.
What's your friend's birth order?
Oh, so this is interesting. So she is.
Isn't she an only child?
Susan? No. Okay. Susan is a number 4.
Ta-da.
But she is not a number 4. She is a 4/2.
Ah.
Okay.
2s and 4s get along very well. You know why? Because 2s don't want to be told what to do, and 4s just ignore them.
Well, okay. So I married a 2, but we'll get into that in a minute. What's that?
Nothing.
Well, I mean,
both
of you should have married number 2s because you had a number 2 boy in the family. Okay, so you understand number 2 boys. You married number 4. Well, that's just your birth order. So
I married a number 2 boy.
Well, you did a number 2. Well,
I didn't.
No,
you
did
not.
not.
I'm a number 1.
Well, that's another type of love at first sight. Your same birth order. You see, you have the same birth order, so you see life the same way. The problem is that you can only have one image in a mirror at a time. So one of you has to step out of the mirror. Okay? So you have to divide up the duties. Birth order explains everything.
Okay.
I mean, how did I know that you married a 2? I mean, it's the way it works.
Okay, let's start the podcast and then we can.
Okay.
And I'll answer this question about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But yeah.
Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Everyday Macaroni. And today we have a very interesting and exciting guest on. And this is actually an episode I've been preparing for and been waiting for quite some time. So, Mickey, please join me in welcoming Dr. Robert Hurst.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
It's wonderful to have you. And just to kick things off quickly, we've actually been talking off camera for a few minutes. Mickey was going to tell a story about how she got named Mickey. So let's get started with that and just explain that story, would you, quickly?
So really quickly, I am actually named after my mother's good friend at seminary college, and she was also her roommate, and her nickname was Mickey, but my mother loved the name so well that when I was born, she and my father, I think our father probably said, well, I don't care, Dad said he wanted a blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl, and Mom got to name me, which she should, because it was 9 months of whatever, 9.5 months. And that's how I got the nickname. So I'm after my legal name is Mickey. It's not Michelle or a nickname. It's Mickey. And it was after my mom's college roommate. Yeah, that's how that.
And can I just add, Dr. Hurst, all of the girls in the family, including my mother, have the same middle name.
Yes.
Ah, what is that?
K.
K. Okay.
Kay. But our maternal grandmother was May.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anyway,
Well, there's a lot to a name, and we can get into that in a minute when we talk about birth order.
right, exactly. I just wanted to make sure we had a chance to tell that story. All right, so the reason I'm so excited to talk to you today is because this bears directly on our general podcast topic, which is families and all things family. And so there is sort of an anecdotal story side to that, but we also have been spending some time looking into the more academic, sort of scientific background in how families operate and function. And when I came across your profile, I thought this is a perfect opportunity to delve into that a little bit more. So could you please explain who you are and what you do and how you came about doing it?
Okay, that's a good place to start. Well, I'm an orthodontist, and many of your viewers, I'm sure, have had orthodontic treatment. And there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I found was that I needed the cooperation of a teenager in order to be successful in what I did. I could be the best orthodontist around, but if I couldn't get the kids to cooperate, brush their teeth and wear their rubber bands and whatever, I would not be successful. And I was looking around for something I could use to immediately know how to approach my patient in the first few minutes of meeting them. And that's when I got into the idea of birth order. Because with birth order in a family, you can predict the personalities of the individual children. It doesn't make any difference if the family's a good family, a not a good family, a blended family, whatever. If you knew the number, you would know what to expect from that child. So I started using the concept of birth order. And the original concepts, they talk about an only child, maybe a firstborn, a secondborn, a thirdborn. And I found it didn't work. Well, it worked about a third of the time. And I was about to give up the whole idea. And I said, I'm going to go back to all my charts and look at all these families, because a family is like a constellation of children, interactions between them. And what I found out was that 2/3 of my patients had brothers and sisters that were separated from them by at least 4 school years. And I started to think, wait a minute, that child is being treated more like an only child at home while the older child is at school. So they take on the qualities of an only child as well as their number of birth. And that's when I hit on the idea of double birth order. And that's 2 types, but the common type is when there's a 4-year gap. And so that number 1 child becomes a 1 only, and a number 2 child becomes a 2 and an only. Well, if you add the only characteristic to a number 2, number 2s are known to, they don't like to be told what to do. Well, a 2 only would be an immovable object because they're very, very strong. And so all of a sudden, when I did that, everything became clear. It became the Rosetta Stone to understanding all my patients very, very quickly. And so I knew what to expect. I knew if I had a number 4 patient, that they'd drop their appointment card on the way out because the older children are always taking care of them. And I'll probably never see the parents because they're brought in by the older children because they're driving.
That's you, Mickey.
So when I did that, and all of a sudden, my life got very easy. It wasn't a struggle anymore to work with my patients because I knew what to expect from each patient and I knew how to approach them. And of course, I carry this over I talk to a lot of school teachers and I say, look, you get these same kids in the class for the whole year. If you knew their birth order, you would know how to approach them uniquely. So they're all unique. They're not all the same. And they said, well, that makes perfect sense to me. So that's how I got into it. And then I had a pediatrician who I was treating and treating his kids. He said, this works so great in my office. He says, you have to write a book. And I said, I am not an author. He says, well, you better be, because this information is really answering all these questions. And so it took me about 3 years, and I wrote the book, Life's Fingerprint, How Birth Order Affects Your Path Throughout Life. And I tried to use examples that everybody knew. People, in politics, people in the movie industry, and so then you can look at the picture and you say, yes, I understand that now. But it's really their relationship to their brothers and sisters. So you have to look at a number of situations to find out someone's true birth order. Because if you have someone in your family who is ill, it could be any one of those four in your family, that changes everything in the family, because the resources might go to that sickly child. So somebody feels left out. So you have to look, there's about 7 things you have to look at, and it says it in the book, to find out your true birth order. The spacing between kids, who you really grew up with. Did you grow up with a grandparent that lived next door, or did you guys all live together? Things like that.
Okay, so there's like 12 different things we could talk about here.
Right.
Seriously.
I do want to jump in when you said something, if there's a sibling or someone that's ill in the family, that can make a difference. And I actually do know someone, Joy does not know them. I do know someone who's one of their siblings when they were young was terminally ill. And I remember having a conversation with them about how they were, effectively they were upset because they were kind of, I think they felt abandoned maybe, but so yeah, it does. So that, because that sibling was getting all the attention for the illness.
Kind of like you, Mickey, except you're not ill. You weren't ever ill, but you always got the attention.
Well, but she was number 1. And you see, where it happens is if number 2 sibling, let's say they have a learning disability or whatever, number 1 can't really be nasty to number 2 because they're sick. So number 1 is brooding why I'm not getting all the attention. I'm number 1. I'm on the throne. I expect to get all the attention, but now I can't say anything. So they get very upset.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, no, I get that.
Well, honestly, you were never nasty. No, there is an
nasty one you're talking.
What's that?
Nothing.
It depends on which one.
Yeah, it depends on which.
No, none of us would say that. No.
Well, number 1 always has to protect the throne, because in your case, you have Brent, which is your younger brother, and he was going to be there to take your throne. He's looking to be number 1. So who was better in school, you or him?
You mean from an academic perspective?
Yes.
Or? Yeah, well, he was actually academically.
No, wait a minute. Okay, wait a second. I think that the situation, you talk in the book about sometimes lesser siblings checking out. And I kind of feel like in a way Brent checked out. Now he was the only boy, and so that gave him automatic status, but he really didn't want it.
Yeah. So in our family, we were socialized that boys got a higher status.
Automatically, yes.
Automatically.
You live in the South.
No, but our father did.
Our father from the South. And there was still some of that. We're all from the Midwest. Well, Joy and our middle sister were born in upstate New York, but we lived mostly in the Midwest. I was born in the Midwest. I was actually born in the same hospital as my mother, so was our brother. But I think our brother had enough of, by the time our parents divorced, I think my brother had enough of women that he did check out. And he also started leading his own life. So he was very independent.
He married He married an oldest. He married a number 1.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, that would be a natural for him because he had a number 1 sister.
Yeah.
Those unions last.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're still. Yeah. I mean,
if you match your childhood birth order, if you're someone in your family, then they last.
Yeah. In fact, they just celebrated
easy.
Yeah. I think they celebrated like their 35th or 40th.
Wasn't it like 1985 or 86 when they got married?
Yeah, it was 85. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that until we're sitting here talking about it.
But he was better than me academically. I had some.
Was he also an athlete, or were you an athlete? He was the athlete.
oh,
Yes, he was the athlete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he was trying and subtly. See, birth order affects, you don't know what's going on. It's that force that's running behind the scenes. You don't realize it. He was trying to take your position regardless. So he was trying to be better in school. You were ahead of him in school because you were older. And
right.
of course, if he couldn't compete academically, he could compete athletically, especially as a boy. So all of a sudden, he was trying to get more of the family resources because trying to move up and take your spot,
What do you mean by family resources? Like, what do you
Well,
mean by?
the attention of the family. Usually the number one, they get all the resources, the money to go to school, whatever, because they're the firstborn. They're the first in line to get it. And then as you move down the line, there's less resources
That's
available.
true.
Like number four, you get, the clothes from your older siblings patched. You
A
get the
big
older
fat goose
car.
egg. Yeah. No pictures in the photo
Oh
album.
yeah.
No pictures. None.
When people ask about what are the indications for birth order, I said, well, look at your family photo album. Number one kid's got pages and pages of pictures, and then less for number two and less for number three, and for number four, you're lucky to get any. In fact, every year in the office, we do a thing where we put up our baby pictures on the front desk, and we ask the patients to pick who's who, because they're babies. Of course, my number four in the office, she says, Dr. Hurst, they're going to know who you are. And I said, well, how? We're all baby pictures. She says, no, yours is the only one that's in black and white. But anyway, the number four, she could only find one picture, and it was like eaten by the dog.
Yeah,
That's all she could find.
And you should see how I'm dressed in that picture. I'm wearing
The one picture.
totally terrible. I'm sitting on the floor of Grandma Cope's living room, and I'm wearing the most unfortunate mismatched clothes. It's like
Right.
I look like a child who they snatched off the street.
Well,
I really
you were
do.
lucky to get a picture.
But there were a few other pictures, I'm just going to say. And it's unfortunate because, no, I think it was actually you. I'm trying to remember if it was our sister or you, Joy. The parents decided to go get pictures because mom said, there are no pictures of the younger girls. And so
Wow.
went to J.C.
There
Penney.
still aren't.
Went to J.C. Penney, and I remember to this day, you had on a mint pleated, I forget what Andrea had, a mint green pleated dress, and you did not, you were like, not gonna do it. It was like, nope, one of you was not gonna do it. I'm trying to remember which one. And then there's only other one, and you were a very small baby because it was taken at Niagara Falls by Grandpa.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you have that one, but it is
Thank
true.
goodness for Grandma.
I
Right.
know. I know.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Otherwise, they'd lose you.
yeah.
Well, I do think I
No,
was
she was
lost.
attached to my hip.
Well, sometimes, yes. But I do think I was lost in the mall
Yeah.
once or twice because I remember being told the next time this happens, you go straight to the car. Yeah. Okay, interesting. When you started working on these theories, I know you had an orthodontist practice for 35 years. So what was the time frame where you started developing this theory, and what kind of evidence and resources were you looking at that time?
Well, I first went to the basics, and Alfred Adler was really the father of birth order theory. And his associate at that time, believe it or not, was Freud. And
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
they were together in the Psychoanalytical Society. Well, Freud felt that the children's personalities and things were based on their parents, the mother and the father. And Adler said, no, I think it's based on the relationship between their siblings and not the mother and the father. Well, they didn't get along very well. Adler was the number two in his family, and Freud was a number one in his father's second family. So they weren't going to get along anyway. So they split, and they never spoke again. And Adler died in the United States in the 30s, but he was really considered the father of birth order theory. And then there are other people that took on his ideas, and some people that are writing some books and things, but they make them too simple. They say, well, it's a number 1, a 2, and a 3. It's not that simple. It's much more complicated. And if you start to use that theory, all of a sudden it doesn't work, because you have to find out what your real birth order is. And really, there's about 17 birth orders, with the double birth orders. Of course, you start out with the only child, and then the one, of course, you become a 1, the only child becomes a 1 when the next kid is born. So, when you were born, you started out as an only child, but then you became a number 1 when your brother was born.
And not just an only child. Mickey was the most adorable, most beautiful little girl that you have ever seen. And she had the little dresses and the little hair, and she was just the picture, like perfect, model perfect child of a tiny little baby girl. Yeah.
Well, and that is the problem sometimes with number 1. They're expected to be so perfect because they are the first child and they're the first ones doing everything. And the pressure on them in life is very difficult. Like, they're not allowed to make a mistake. If they make a mistake, it's a very personal thing to them. And so I tell people that are number 1s, I said, it's okay not to be perfect. Make a few mistakes. It's all right. The world's not going to end. But they start their life, like you said, they dressed her up as a little perfect little girl, and she'd be a poster child for number 1. And that happens all the time. That's what I tell people. I said, don't treat all your children the same, because they are all different and they want to be different. They don't want to be compared. When you were going to school, you went to the same school maybe, and they'd say, well, why aren't you like your older sister? Well, you don't want to be like your older sister. You want to be like you. And that's right. That's important. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me mention another type of double birth order. The other type is when you have these big families and gaps between groups of children. I'll give you an example. Princess Di. She was a double birth order. She had 2 older sisters. Then there was a 4-year gap, and then she was born, and then she had a brother 2 years later. So she was the 3rd born, but the first in the second family. So she had a birth order of a 3 and a 1. And think about her life. She was trying to be a number 1. She fought the royal family. She wanted to be in charge. But yet, she was a number 3. She was caring and loving, and she was trying to protect the world against unexploded landmines. And so she had 2 personalities. So you have to watch it when you have double birth orders. There's 2 people there, okay? So it's not just one person. Like in your families, you were a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So you're all pretty clear who you are. But if you get these families with spaces, you get more things. And that's what happens in blended families when 2 families get together. If you go down in birth order because of your age, you do not get along in that new family. If you move up in birth order, you do great. Or if you stay the same, you do great too.
Okay, wait a second. Say that again.
I remember reading this in the book, yeah.
Okay, if you go down in birth order, when the family blends, if you go down in birth order.
Yes.
That doesn't work out well for you.
It doesn't work out well for you. If someone, you in the blend family was older than you, your position. Now, it gets a little more complicated, because when you get birth order is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts over again with the number 5 is like a number 1. I use the analogy primary colors and secondary colors. Okay, the color is the same, but it's not quite as vibrant. So a number 5 is like a number 1, but not nearly as telling people what to do.
Potent. Okay.
A little more subtle. And a number 4 and a number 8 are similar, because you're the same. It starts all over again, but number 8 is not quite quite as strong as a number 4. So at one time when I was doing a lecture, I was talking to a Catholic school, and I had him in the palm of my hand. I was telling him all about birth order, and then a guy raised his hand. He said, "Dr. Hurst, do you know where you are?" And I'm doing this talk, and I said, "Well, I'm at St. Christian School." It says, "Do you know who we are?" And I said, you're the parents of all the children. He says, no, we're Catholic and we don't stop at 4. And I said, okay, so
Touche.
let's go on to 5, 6, 7, and 8. He said, now you're talking.
We don't stop at 4.
I had to add additional numbers.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Well, you know, and you were right when you said earlier, traditional birth order theory ends at 3. And so there's no number 4. And then everyone loses out.
You're so right, number 4.
I know. For
Yeah,
sure.
well, it was so clear to me when I was looking at traditional birth order theory, my 3s and the 4s, it couldn't, the 4 couldn't be like a 1. And I said, all these books are written this way. I said, it's no wonder people give up on it because they realize it's not working and it won't. And, you know, the other thing is with all the, I hate to say it, the research that's done on birth order, the problem with the research is they're using samples, but they don't know what the real birth order is of the people they're asking the questions to.
Yeah.
They may be talking to a 1 only, but they don't understand double birth order. So they're dealing with a 1. In the news now of a double birth order is our current president. He's a 4-1 double birth order. He's the 2 of you. He's number 1. He's the president. But he's number 4. He's a jolly good fellow. He's happy. He's telling jokes. Okay. So that's why the press can't understand him. I said, well, what is he? They don't understand. He's 2 different people. He's a number 1 and he's a number 4.
What's making him a number 4? It's not his. So
No, his first, the first in the family was a 1. Then there was a number 2. That was a brother.
Right.
Then there was a gap of about 4 years
Yeah.
when a girl was born. So she became a 3 only because there's another 4-year gap before he's born. Then he's born as number 4, but then his brother is born 2 years later. Actually, there's 3 families. There's
Okay.
the first 2 kids, then there's a gap, and then there's the girl, and there's a gap on either side of her. So she's a 3 only.
Okay.
That's we call that the second family. Then there's a gap, and then Donald's born, and then a brother 2 years later. So he's like the 3rd family, but the 4th born,
Okay. Oh,
oldest in that group. So he's a 1 and a 4. And you know they call him the great, you know, negotiator. Of course, because they can't figure out who he is. They can't. Is he a 4? Is he a jolly good fellow, or is he really serious about what's going on? And that's why he's the master, the art of the deal. But only our book has figured that out, and now you know.
Well, yes.
I had
Okay,
to
so-
diagram it.
Yeah, well, it is a little bit of a brain twister.
I had to diagram it. Okay, so
You
Okay.
have to think about that for a minute. Like,
I'll tell you one more that's a 4 only that you'll know. Walt Disney.
mhm.
The same birth order. You know, Trump was involved with casinos and golf courses. And what was Disney involved with? Theme parks, you know,
Cartoons.
Yep, the same thing. So you start to see the similarities even in the double birth orders,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of fun.
But Walt Disney particularly, he built quite the business. And I look at myself, I think about that. I think, okay, I enjoy having fun. I'm all about, if you look on my Instagram feed, it's a mix of things. There's a lot of, puppets and Star Wars and ridiculous things in there. But also, I can be very responsible. Like my first career before I transitioned into podcasting and being a content creator, I was a lawyer and I practiced law for a number of years, and that was a intensely responsible job. Like I could not miss deadlines. I had to make sure all my T's were crossed and my I's were dotted, and that doesn't naturally fit in with what a number 4 looks like according to your birth order. So
Yes, well, number 4s can take on, when they realize how tough the life is, all of a sudden they're no longer protected by the older siblings, and they realize how hard they have to work, and they can do it. But they know that this is not them, but they can pull it off. But sometimes they can't. But in your case, you did. But you said that was your first career. You had to do that, but that wasn't really you. By the way,
Well, that is true.
By the way, number 3 attorneys, they end up doing real estate work because they like nature. Okay.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So you can be an attorney as a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, an only, and you take a different area of law. You
Okay.
can be a plaintiff attorney. You can be right.
What area of the law do you think I practiced in?
Well, I don't know. That might have been sports law. That would be fun and games.
That would have been fun, but in fact, no. I was a bankruptcy attorney.
A what?
I was a bankruptcy attorney. I did consumer bankruptcies.
Okay.
A bankruptcy attorney.
Oh, bankruptcy attorney. Well, those are the people that were having fun.
But also,
well,
that's why they were bankrupt.
And also,
I did criminal
public
work
service.
too. Right.
Yeah.
I did criminal work. Yeah. Uh-huh. So, and a little bit of general practice, because as you so correctly point out, I had to hack out a living. And so I started out doing some general practice. So I did family law, hated it. Yeah.
Did you go farther in school than any of your siblings?
Yes.
And that's the reason why you were taught by your older siblings. You had a head start in school. Your older siblings were teaching you. It's interesting. Number 4 is,
what do you mean teaching me? Like,
well,
I knew how
reading,
babies were made, if that's what you're
reading
getting
and
at.
writing and all that stuff. You had older siblings always to rely on. They were
Hmm.
around the house.
What, I don't know, Mickey, what do you think about that? I think,
I'm remaining silent.
well, so this does bring up a question that I had that was independent of what I read in the Fingerprint book, which is such a good read. I encourage everybody. I'm going to make sure I put a link in the description so everyone knows where they can go and find it. And we'll talk more about that when we get closer to the end of the podcast. But
Sure.
It is really a very interesting and good read. And it has a lot of information packed into a relatively short book for the most part. But birth order is a given set of parameters. And I am curious about, it cannot be absolute. It cannot, because there are other things that factor in. Like, for example, our parents divorced when I was 8. Now, neither of our parents married after that. And so it was just the 4 of us siblings, etc. Well, I take that back. My dad did just get married, but that's a whole other story. We could talk about that later. But so it was just us. Mickey and I talk about this quite a bit. We believe, while he was never diagnosed, we believe our father, he was on the autism spectrum to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right. Neurodivergent. And so in a way, I wonder how, in your mind, in your opinion, how those other external factors affect birth order, because I kind of felt like after Mickey got to a certain age and she was very autonomous and very independent and moved out into her carving out her own path through life, the rest of us kind of dispersed in a way, and it kind of unfolded. I don't know how you would describe it, Mickey. It kind of unfolded in a sort of you can't see the pattern so much. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, let me back up for a second. The person that is most affected by the parents is the only child. Actually, all only children are different because they're an amalgamation of the 2 parents' birth orders. And they're like little adults.
Okay, wait a second.
I'd actually like to hear about this. Can you elaborate?
Can you elaborate on that? Yeah.
Okay. Let's say that the one parent is a number 1 and another parent is a number 2. So that only child has characteristics of a 1 and a 2. And they will, they'll go with whoever is the strongest of the parents. That will be their dominant personality as an only child. So, we say that Superman was an only child. Okay. Now he wanted to save the world. All right. But If the dominant parent is a number 2, that only child usually ends up marrying a number 2. And you say, what's the connection? And you look back and you find out, oh, one of their parents was a number 2. And so they had a familiarity with that type of personality. But let me get back to what you were saying about the family and how you got dispersed after the divorces. It's the interrelationship between the children that give you your personality characteristics. Your parents have the most influence on number 1 and the only child, but then that diminishes as you get more and more children because they have less and less influence. It's the interrelationship between the 4 of you that made you who you were. So even though your parents divorced and you were off on your own, you're relying on each other and your relationship between all you siblings to tell you who you are. Okay. And you can move. You can move. You could take that position as number 4. And let's say something happened to your number 1 or number 2. You can move up within the family to take on a role of another birth order. Even though you're basically a number 4, you could be having to function like a number 2. That happens a lot when somebody dies within the family. Everybody moves up. So that's why I say in the book, you have to try to find your real birth order. And those are 7 questions that you have to answer to find out who you really are. Then birth order works. Because you could be a 4, but you're really a 2. See, so
no, I'm a 4. I know I am.
Yes, you are. You're definitely a 4.
I'm a 4. Yes, and I married a 2, and we have a great relationship.
That's a type of love at first sight that always lasts. I'll give you an example of number 4s. One of the girls in my office is a number 4, and she decided that and one of her best friends, your best friends are usually your same birth order. She wanted to go to lunch. So she calls her friends and said, well, we're going to go to lunch today. And they said, well, we don't know where to go. And they both had number 1 girls. They said, I know, let's call the girls at school and see where we should go to lunch. So they called the girls and the girls told them where to go to lunch. And that's where they went to lunch.
Okay.
So sometimes your kids have higher birth orders than you, and that does affect your parenting.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you say about a 1 and 1 who marry?
Well, that's a type of love at first sight. There's 2 types. Marrying somebody who's at the gender in your family, the opposite gender. Of course, that's different these days, but traditional marriage.
Right.
Or marrying someone with the same birth order as you. The relationship is good because you're looking at yourself. But you have to be careful because you have to divide up the responsibilities because you can't be in the same body. You're both very reliable. You're both dependable. It's like, how boring is this? But at any rate, you have to have your own separate life. You can't have the same life. Whereas with Joy, they have 2 different lives.
Totally.
And, he doesn't want to be told what to do.
Nope.
And you're not going to tell him what to do.
Nope.
And, you're just going to have fun.
Now, there are moments where we do tend to clash a little because I do have a little bit of a type A personality sometimes. And so does he. And so we kind of laugh about how we're both type A a little.
That's right. But just remember, 2 doesn't want to be told what to do. And number 4 just ignores them. Or tries to. You can't.
I don't ignore Ron. Come on. Never. No, he's actually, Ron is a pilot in the military. So he was gone a lot. And for me, being a number 4, by the time I spent a lot of my formative years alone. And so for me, that was no big deal. So Ron and we got married in the first 6 years of our marriage. We were apart for over half of it.
Wow.
And that was okay.
But was he also an athlete? Did he have an older sister?
Yes, and he totally dethroned her.
But you see
and she listens sometimes, so surprise.
Do you see the relationship? He he was exactly like your brother. Your brother had an older sister. So he was a type of 2 that had an older sister. And that was subtly your connection with him, your attraction to him. And that's where birth order is working behind the scenes, making decisions for us. And if you understood birth order, you would know why.
Okay.
But it happens.
Well, it worked out, and
And it still will.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. We're very well suited for each other. We enjoy each other's company. It was a very good match from the beginning. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's very good. Interesting. Okay.
All right.
Mickey, would you like to weigh in on that at all?
Questions?
Oh, this is fascinating.
Do you have children, Mickey?
I do have children. I have 2. So I guess this is a question. So I have 2 boys. One just recently graduated from college.
How many years apart are they?
They are, and this is the question, because my oldest was actually listening. I downloaded your book onto Audible. And so he went with me to run errands one day, and I said, I'd like to listen to this book. And so, there were a couple times he looked at me and he's like, So they are 3.5 years apart.
In school, were they 3 years apart or 4 years?
Oh gosh, you're asking me to do
Was
math.
one a senior while one was a freshman?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
yes. So the oldest one graduated from high school 2019. And correct, right, Joy?
Well, I remember Ike was doing high school from home during the pandemic, so yeah.
Well, I graduated in 2022 because Ian graduated from the community college in 2022. So yeah, they were 4.
Then
Yes.
both of them are double birth orders. The oldest is a 1 only, and the younger is a 2 only.
Okay. And that's what I think Ian was, when we were listening to your book, we had heard this part, and then I think I started to say, well, is he talking about this? And Ian, and we ended up, I think, confusing each other. But anyhow, so can you explain,
You need the real book. It's a coffee table book. So at Thanksgiving dinner, everybody can pick it up and find out who they are.
Oh, yeah. That
sounds
really
like
great
super fun.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we also have it now. We also have it on I'll hold this up on a little card here that's a USB that you can plug into your computer.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And this one's got all the pictures and graphs and things that are in the real book. But
Nice.
if you get it through our website, you get a hard covered book. And at the back of this book are a bunch of questions that I got from my speaking engagements that's not in the paperback. And this is, of course, this is in color too. All the pictures and things are in color. And you can't get this at Amazon. You only get the first edition, which is the soft cover one. So, but
and I prefer
I'll plug
hardbacks.
my website, www, but it's mybirthorder.com.
Okay.
Right.
And I'll give you an autograph book.
Okay.
You did give me an autograph book. Thank you. I love it. And I will make sure to put a link to that in the description of these show notes for sure. Okay.
So
go ahead, Mickey. Sorry.
So then the oldest is a 1 only, and the second
Very
is
strong.
2 only. So
you got 2 very strong boys.
Well, that's an understatement.
Yes, and number 2, I mean, you don't tell that one what to do.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, not at all. No, there's
Lord. Woo.
Yeah. It's that only. You see, you're an example of having that child at home, treating him like an only child while the older one was away at school those first 4 years.
Well, so here's what happened. So the oldest one graduated but went to community college, so he was living at home. And then the youngest was still in high school. But then once the oldest graduated from community college, he transferred into a 4-year to complete a 4-year degree. And he lived first in dorms, and the last year he lived in an apartment. And the youngest would occasionally go stay all night with him in the apartment. And so they were mostly home together most of except for 3 years. So
Because of the 4-year gap, an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, their friends are not going to be each other's friends. It's too
yeah,
big a gap in age. So
yeah,
they run their own lives independently of each other.
right. Yep.
Even though they are brothers, they're not like, battling siblings like you
Yeah.
guys were in your family.
Well, and they have never fought. They
Yeah,
have never,
they get along
Oh,
pretty well.
they
Yeah.
do not
no.
fight. They do, the oldest one has his things and friends that and sometimes he will say, hey, yeah, why don't you come, you let's go together for things. And the youngest gets along with his friends, but they do have very separate lives. They even as so the oldest one graduated and is still looking for a job, so he's back home. And even now they keep pretty, I mean, they spend time together,
They will
but
get, as they get older, they'll get closer because, they're brothers.
yeah.
But they never had that sibling, you know,
Mhm.
when I counsel people on, nowadays people can make a decision on how to space their children. And I say, you have a decision to make. Do you want a closely knit family of number one or two or three or four, where,
Right.
the younger ones are being, taught by the older ones, and, they interact, they fight with each other, and, who's going to sit in the front seat and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, totally.
Or do you want independent little families where you have a 4-year gap between each child? Now, those children become very, very strong, and they do things in this world. But you've got independent children, independent families, separate little families within one. So it's your choice. How do you want to do it? Some people say, you know, I like, it comes to mind. I want my kids to have all the resources available, so I'll spread them out 4 years apart. Do you know that Bill Clinton, his birth order is a one only?
Mhm.
Okay. And Monica Lewinsky's birth order,
Is it
one
two?
only.
Oh, one only, really? Okay.
Same birth order.
Okay.
Okay. There
Okay.
was an attraction there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Hillary is just a one. But she's got
oh,
younger brothers. She's got a 2 and a 3 younger brother. And she was fighting all her life to hold that number one position from those younger boys. And she did. She
hmm.
pretty much,
Yeah,
ruled the roost.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
These
So,
are things we
so,
all, we've seen,
so,
Sure.
so you can
if a,
relate to it.
right. So if a two only comes into your office, what do you do in order to
Okay.
get them to, yeah.
First of all, the 2 does not like surprises. They want to know what's going on. So I'm going to tell that 2 every time what I'm going to do, what I plan to do next time, what's going on. So any questions? Okay. But I also know that if I do not get the cooperation from the 2 only, they will make my life miserable. They will prove to me that they are in charge and I'm going to be wrong. Okay. If I have a 2 only, she can be a little petite little girl. She will break everything. Why? The 2 onlys have a very high pain threshold for some reason. These are the kids that don't put a Snoopy bandage on and leave it on for a week. Now, Joy, you might have done that. But number 3 in your family, she left that Snoopy bandage on forever. Okay? Because she's so sensitive. Now, we haven't
Okay.
talked about your number 3. And
No, we haven't.
right. But the number 2 only, they are tough. And it's not that they mean to break stuff. It's just that their pain threshold is so high that they don't notice.
Yeah.
Okay? So, he's tough. Really tough.
Okay.
He is, you're not wrong. I mean, it's kind of funny. I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you, and I'm just cackling because, yeah.
Do you want me to do my impression of him if he were to hear this?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
no, it's fine.
I'm not
He'd probably look at me with those big eyes and say, see?
Yeah.
He's a
Hmm.
very strong individual and he doesn't like surprises. That is true.
And he did break brackets
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
all the
okay.
time.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, and
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
he's surprised. He's like, I don't know how I did. He's like, he would come to me. He's like, Mom, I got a bracket. And I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
And I'm like, did you eat popcorn? Did you like, it's like, no.
No,
He's like,
he
it just
didn't.
came off. And
Exactly. And
he
that's why
loved it.
when I understood birth order, when the two onlys would break stuff, I expected it.
Oh,
It never
really?
bothered me because they weren't doing it on purpose. It just happens. Okay. Now, the number three kid, that's the kid that's so sensitive to everything. Okay. So, I mean, you look at them crossways and they're going to start to cry. So you have to be very, very gentle with the number three. The number three they understand people so well because when they were born, they had to understand 17 different relationships. Mentions that in the book. The
Right.
relationship between number one and number two and the parents and all that. So they are great in groups. They're big into religion. They're big into the arts. They could be good school teachers. They're artists. They're musicians. They see life so differently than anybody else. Um, they just soak it all in, and they're open to everything. So you have to be careful that they don't get hooked on drugs or alcohol or something like that because they're just open to
Mm.
experiences. Okay.
Well, that would never be a problem with our number three sister. She is very devout.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
has a very strong connection to
Religious.
faith.
Yes.
Yes. She
Mother
is
Teresa was a three, by the way.
Oh,
right. Our number three, she is very sensitive. I would agree with that. That's correct. She has three children. I'm the only one of the four of us who has no children. And when I was a kid, I saw how
Yes.
our parents struggled, and I was like, that will never be me.
I don't want that responsibility.
Right.
That's true with onlys. There are two types of onlys. One that wants a big family because they felt their parents were denied children, and the other type of only that doesn't want any children.
our
See,
youngest son is like, I don't want children.
there's one of the others. The only with wants lots or only that doesn't
Well,
want any.
why? And I read it in the book, but explain why an only would not want children, if you don't
Because
mind.
they never had to share anything. Okay. They grew up with no brothers or sisters. They got everything they wanted. In fact, I was interviewed I did a podcast with a fella not too long ago who was an only child. And he told me something that it just answers all the questions. He says, I'm an only child. I'm unemployable. And I said, I think I know why. Go ahead and explain. He says, because I know more than anybody. Whenever I go to work, I know more than my boss. And he says, it's just a matter of time before I get fired because I know too much. Well, you always, in an organization, the guy at the top should be the higher birth order. If he's not, then the higher birth orders down below say, you don't know what you're talking about. I know more than you. So they move on up. So he says, that's why, I was in banking, whatever, but now I'm running podcasts because I'm unemployable.
So
Wow.
does that apply? So these birth orders, let's talk about corporation because one of the things, I'm a student right now. I'm a part-time student.
Yeah, who graduated summa cum laude. Yeah, with your associates there. So just saying, when you're saying Brent was the better student, I'm not so sure about that. Anyway.
No, when I was young,
We're
when
fighting.
we
It's
were
good to fight. Yeah.
when we were young, he actually was the better student, and I struggled when I was young.
But you've come back. See, the sibling rivalry never ends. So you're
Yeah,
still in that sibling. Now you've gone beyond him.
yeah,
Yeah, but
but not with
that's
the
normal.
intention of but there's not a to me there's not a conscious where I'm like,
It
oh,
is not conscious. You're absolutely right. It's
okay,
unconscious. You're
yeah,
right.
Now,
yeah, because it doesn't.
here I'm the number four stirring it up.
Yeah, there you
Yes,
are.
that's what you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that is what
Trouble.
she
You can tell.
does. So right now I'm in a women in leadership class, and I'm interested. Does it apply differently across gender, or is it the same whether it's male or female? And especially when it applies to corporate management. Yeah.
Or also factoring in gender fluidity to a certain extent, if you have any comment on that.
I better not get into gender fluidity. But I will say that in corporate America, most of the CEOs are onlys or ones. And it applies to women as well. Women CEOs, number ones. So, it's a male-dominated society, especially at the corporate level. But, that's been changing over time. I mean, the head of GM is a one. The head of Pepsi-Cola was a one. There's a lot of women that are number ones, but they're ones. Now, corporations have personalities, just like birth orders. An example would be Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a number two. His company has a number two personality. When he started it, he made all his workers independent contractors, so nobody could tell them what to do. So that, of course, he ran into a problem with the IRS because he wasn't paying them Social Security, but still, it's a personality. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett is a number two. Interesting. Both are very wealthy. Both of them have older sisters. Number twos with older sisters. But they don't want to be told what to do. When number twos get money, it's not money for money's sake. It's for money for not being told what to do. Zuckerberg is also a number two. He's got an older sister, number one. You see the pattern that shows here? Okay. But they're number twos because they don't want to be told what to do. They made all this money, not because they want to lord it over other people, but don't tell me what to do. So it's very interesting.
That is interesting.
The patterns start to show up. It's kind of like AI. Birth order is pattern recognition. You start to recognize, and I've gone through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of biographies. And, anytime anyone comes on the TV, politician, actor, I'm always looking at them at their birth order. Like Hanks. Hanks is a number three. He's great as an actor, but he has a number three personality. Biden and Harris, they were both number ones. They want to tell you what to do. That's a number one personality. That's
there. I am, Joy.
There you go.
You're
and what happens with a number four? A number four may or may not listen to you and then go and do what they want to do anyway.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. If it's not fun, we're not going to do it. The head of Southwest Airlines, he was a number four. Do you remember when Southwest Airlines started? It was nobody assigned seats. It's like when all the big families sit down to eat, hey, whoever gets the food first gets the food. So it was like first come, first serve. So he ran the airline like a number four. It was, if we're not having fun, it said, you want to smoke? Go out on the wing, And now, of course, things have changed because he's no longer in charge. But corporations have personalities based on the head of the corporation.
That's really interesting. So, because when I take another management class, maybe I'll integrate that into a paper or something, because as you were talking, I'm like, okay, so currently you're right. CEOs tend to be more male. It's more male dominated field, but we're moving along. And I was just wondering what kind of differences you would see, or would you see a difference in your opinion between women and men? But you're saying even females that are in CEO levels or executive levels are number ones typically.
Yes, but let me explain a little bit more in depth. We're going to birth order number two idea.
Okay.
Is that every birth order has two sides to them. Okay. Julia Childs was a number one, but Julia Childs was a sweetheart. Julia Childs tried to control you by food and cooking. Hillary Clinton is a number one, but Hillary Clinton is not a Julia Childs. She tried to control you by her dominance. So they both have the same thing in mind. They want to control you, but they each do it a different way, even though both are number ones. But that's why you have to look at the family constellation. Hillary Clinton was trying to keep her throne from 2 younger brothers. That changed her personality. Julia Childs didn't have that same problem. So she was more relaxed.
Yeah.
Okay. Jimmy Stewart, number 1, he had a younger sister. He wasn't threatened by the throne. He was the nicest guy, and he played nice guys. He was just a nice guy. So when you're not threatened, it changes your personality than maybe a number 1 that was threatened by a younger brother or threatened by a younger sister. It changes their personality. So not all ones are the same. You have to look at the whole picture. You can't just say, you're a 1, you're this way. No, I want to know who was number 2, and I want to know the relationship with it, and 3 and 4, and what happened in the family. Was anybody sick? Vincent van Gogh, he was a number 2, but he had an older brother whose name was Vincent van Gogh. And they were 1 year apart, but his mother could never let go of the first Vincent and continue to celebrate the birthdays and whatever. What did it do to the second Vincent? It drove him crazy. He cut off his ear.
Yeah. Well, the first Vincent died, right?
He died. Yes.
Yeah.
He died as a baby.
Yeah.
And then 11 months later, this next Vincent was born. But this is called it's a ghost child.
It's a phantom. Yeah.
It's a phantom child.
Yeah.
And, you can't. And so if that happened in a family, that changes the number 1 born. If the number 1 really born died, then that next number 1 isn't a number 1 if you keep that first one alive. So they could never compete because that number 1 was perfect.
Yeah.
But now they're dead.
Yeah. So there's no way to, yeah.
I was told growing up plenty how wonderful Mickey was. Oh, yes. Plenty. I heard that plenty. She's so good looking. She's so smart. She's so this. She's so that. Oh, yeah. I got that plenty. Yeah. I sure did.
And then you became an attorney. I know.
Yeah. So I could pow, pow, pow. Yes. And then on the side, make jokes about it. Yes. Yes. That's the truth. I mean, there is, you can't deny it. That's for sure.
Yes. And, you have to, don't think of birth order as simple. Think of it as, yes, it's a powerful force in all our lives. But figure out who you really are and how is this birth order affecting you? And then life becomes simple and there's less stress. But most people go through life with stressful situations and they don't realize they can be the cause of it. It's their birth order and their relationship to their siblings that's caused it. And, we're not trying to do psychoanalysis on people, but Alfred Adler thought, yes, this was the way to do psychoanalysis, understand the family group, whereas Freud said, no, that doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
So does your book did you get really into those 17 different, I'm calling them dimensions, but I think you call 17 different relationships. Does it go in depth? So if I get the book and I read it, am I gonna?
Yes. What we do is, you do the traditionals, the only, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. Then we do the doubles, the 1 only, the 2 only, the 3 only, and the 4 only. And then we do the multiples of the ordinal numbers, like a 3-1, a 3-2, a 4-1, a 4-2. And I try to give examples of every type so that you will see, you can look at these people and say, yes, I understand what Walt Disney was alike, or, these kind of things. So we try to give all the examples in there. And, we can't cover everything. I've done a lot of podcasts, and they get on the site. There's a lot of videos that I've done, too many. But
no.
This is kind of a niche area. People don't quite get it. They get it, but they don't get it. While I'm talking about it, they get it.
Yeah.
When I stop talking, it's like I'm on another world,
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I understand the double birth order, and I understand the family within a family. I get it. The thing I think that makes it difficult is that, first of all, it's not commonly discussed. This is, people are not talking about, have not talked about this. as a way to navigate family relationships historically. And
We try to make it
also,
too simple, and that's why it doesn't work.
Right, because
well, it is a complicated concept when you
Yes.
factor in double birth orders and
Yes.
family within families, etc.
Yep.
And so
Right.
you do talk about in the book how to become a family birth order detective, and you give those questions and things like that. But it's a complicated concept.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yes,
By
I
the way,
can see.
if you ever were having a jury trial, I could pick the people on the jury to have a hung trial.
Ooh, that would be something.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
because I'd find their birth orders through the questions, and then I would know which ones to say, better pick this one.
That's funny because jury consultants, that can be big business depending on what the litigation is about, etc. Oh yeah,
That's how Dr. Phil made it with
got
he was
started.
on the
Yes.
jury with Oprah. By the way, Oprah's a one only double birth order.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong.
One only.
There's a 4-year gap or more, but
Between her and her next oldest
right.
sibling.
And that's why she didn't get along with Letterman, because Letterman's a 2 only double birth order.
Oh.
Mhm.
So
And a male. Yeah.
And a male, right?
Mm-hmm.
can you discuss, so we talked about my second only. Can you talk about first onlys? First
Well,
only.
first onlys, they tend to gravitate toward politics. And this is the reason why. They are generational. As an only, they understand the older generation. That was, as an only child, that's the parents and whatever. But as a one, they understand their generation. So they can relate to the older, more conservative in a sense, and the current, which would be more liberal. Kids are always more liberal than their parents, because they don't have anything. You can be liberal when you have nothing. But then when you have something, you become more conservative, as you get older.
You tend to, yes.
Yeah, so well, we mentioned Bill Clinton was a one only as a politician. Bush was a one only after.
Which one?
Yeah.
Well, the father was a 2, but the younger was a one only after his sister died. His
Oh,
sister
yeah.
died of
Okay.
leukemia, and so he was a 1, but when she died, he became a 1 only. And it's interesting, and there's talk about his uncle talked about him. He says, when his sister was alive, he was really a lot of fun, and he was a great little kid. But after his sister died, he became very, very serious. Well, he became a 1 only. It changed.
Mhm.
Okay, so that happens in families when children
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
It changes their birth order, and
Yeah.
it changes your personality.
Okay.
So
So I have a question.
Okay,
What number are you? What are you?
well, you maybe you should guess.
Oh my goodness. I
Well,
don't know. I think
I'll
I'd have
tell
to.
you.
I'll have to
I'm
read the book
I'm a
2 or 4
number
times.
2. I'm a number 2. I have an older sister. We were only 18 months apart,
Okay.
so I'm a true number 2.
True 2.
But
Yeah.
I probably dethroned her.
Okay.
So what can I say? It wasn't my fault. It just happened.
So Mickey, going back to you, it wasn't your fault.
But she's an attorney, so
Oh, well, doctors and lawyers, they love each other, don't they?
Yeah.
So, Mickey, to your point about one onlys, your older one is a one only, right?
Yeah.
So, one onlys, Dr. Hurst, I actually took note of this in the book. One onlys are firstborns with a vitamin boost. Generational, they can swing back and forth between adult and child worlds. Gender is important to one onlys. Boys will be closer to their mothers. Girls will be closer to their fathers.
that
Okay.
is true.
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote that?
Which is,
I don't know, but he was pretty smart, wasn't he?
So my oldest, he's got 2 degrees. His associates was geospatial information systems, and then his 4 is geography with a minor in intelligence studies. and with a concentration in remote sensing like satellite and whatever. And so beyond the remote sensing, satellite imagery and those kinds of things, those kinds of classes, he really enjoys the political history of countries. He's like, I could never be a politician, but I do enjoy, and we do constantly have, he'll bring up something, he'll say, hey, here's what's going on in the world today. And then there'll be a discussion. So, and he gets along with his older generations.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the youngest one is like, the youngest one will say, I'm your equal, where Ian defers to, I know, it's pretty entertaining most of the time.
It is very entertaining.
Yeah, it is very entertaining. And I get why he comes from that place. But the oldest one, definitely he likes to discuss politics when everybody's going to be kind about it. But even his degree program is somewhat reliant on what's going on in the world, right? And he does go back and forth between the generations very easily. And in some respects, I am closer to him, but in a different way than he is his father. So my husband is a one. So my husband is firstborn. His next
oldest sibling
is 18 months apart.
Boy or girl?
Boy. And then the third is
like
18 months apart from the second, and she's a girl. So that's a completely different family construct than, but so.
But your older boy, your one only, he will not want to disappoint you.
Oh no, he does. He
right. He's not gonna fight. Now your two only, he could be disappointing to you because he's not gonna do what you want.
He's not he actually doesn't. So
he'll be successful in his own way.
Right. And so one of the things that,
you don't understand him.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that we did a little differently than my parents and my husband's parents did is we actually tried to raise them to not always just go along with authority, right? And to not let people say, one of my things is don't let people tell you that you can't. And also, you should question, because if somebody comes at you with information, so my husband is a scientist, so that's another in this house, right? There's a little extra level of you don't start talking about something off the top of your head without your evidence. So we've kind of raised the kids to question authority and
it has been fun to watch. It has been fun to watch.
It does get entertaining. So it does, because
they do question you. Oh yes.
Oh yeah, they do.
You do have a lawyer in the family.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. And so, which is also another perspective, right? So when she visits,
oh, it's a good time.
More entertaining. But the youngest one actually is, he's completely taking his own journey, and he does not disappoint. I get worried because both of them, especially the oldest, does want to not disappoint us. And the other, I think they don't understand. We want them to find their own journey and their own path.
Well, you are typical parents in that you want them to succeed and you want them to have the tools available to succeed and do well in life. And so that automatically sets a path.
Yeah. So, but it's very interesting because I want to make sure I got this. The firstborn or the first only is like a firstborn, but with a vitamin boost.
Yeah.
Right.
In other words, they're much stronger than the first one. Your number one is stronger than you and your husband.
Okay. Oh.
Much stronger personality.
Well, in some ways, I see those characteristics in him already.
Well, that can, if you're talking about strong in terms of everybody in this house is very, very.
Well, when he has an idea in his mind, He will not be moved.
Go. No,
Don't even try.
no,
No.
no.
Yeah.
Nope.
You will fall down that hill and it will
Right.
not
It's
work out well.
Only, only it's 1 to the 10th power. It's just,
That's right.
Yeah.
you only
Yeah.
just gives so much power.
Like his moral compass is like cemented.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't, he can't, like, there's no,
He will not be moved.
he will not be moved. So what happens when, I'm going to switch course. What happens when the number 3 child is a girl? Is it the same that a number 3 child, like a true 3, is it the same as what, regardless of whether they're a girl or a boy or what their gender is?
Yes and no. Okay.
Okay.
You have to look at who else is in the family. If
Okay.
it's a girl and she is the only girl, there's 2 older boys,
Yep.
it's very different than a girl who has 2 older sisters. Because the first instance, she is unique. She is the first of her gender in the family.
Okay.
So she is going to get a little more attention because, she's got 2 older brothers to take care of her and look out for her. And, she's daddy's little girl or something like that. But if she is one of 3 girls, she's nothing special. There's already 2 girls in the family, but they all share the characteristics of being sensitive, intuitive, interested in the arts, religion, all those kind of things. Those are all the same, but they express it just a little bit differently because they're special in the family if they're the only girl. Now, if it's a boy and he has 2 older sisters, that's more difficult because the boy is expected to be in charge. So he may be elevated to the number 1 position because he's the boy and he has 2 older sisters, but that's just he's acting. He's not handling it well. He does not do well because it's just an act for him. He might overdo it because he's pretending to be a number 1, but he's not. I've seen that situation too.
Oh, so how do you handle a patient like that who's...
You have to understand it. You have to say, you know who you are. You are not a number 1. You're a number 3. It's okay to cry. It's, let me just give you a little short story. I had a patient who, he was a great patient. He was a number 3. And his dad wanted him to be a star quarterback because his dad had been a quarterback in college and he was quite successful. He wanted his son to be that quarterback and go on to professional football. So he pushed him and he pushed him. And this kid was a number 3. He was a pretty good athlete, but he wasn't interested in that. He was interested as an artist. He would draw. So when he was sitting on the bench, he was drawing pictures of his classmates, football players on the bench. Okay. He ended up going to New York and becoming a great graphic artist, but not a football player. Okay. But the parent, he had 2 sisters also who I treated, but the parent wanted this boy to become a number 1 quarterback, and he wasn't that interested. So you have to treat every kid uniquely in the unique situation.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. So look at the family situation. The parent wanted him to be a number 1.
Right.
But it wouldn't happen. It would just be a joke. It'd be an act.
It's performative. What you're saying, it's performative.
Yeah, he was very happy as a graphic artist in New York.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is, this has been interesting.
It has. Is there any wrap up Dr. Hurst, is there anything that you want to talk about before we wind up?
No, I just think that you guys have been great. You've asked the right questions. You put it in perspective for your audience so they understand that it's not real simple, but it's really important. And if they understand it, it's going to make their life so much easier.
And there's no cultural diversion. Like this applies across cultures as well.
It crosses all cultures,
Because we talk a lot about different blended families and et cetera, and different backgrounds and heritage and et cetera. So yeah, it's important to understand that this concept applies regardless of your family background.
Right. And
right.
Understand yourself and your life is going to be so much better.
Oh, I love that. That's a perfect Mickey, do you have anything else? Because otherwise, that's like a perfect.
No, no, this has been great.
All right,
Yes,
well, get your autograph book at the
I
website. I'll
will.
be happy. And when you
absolutely.
tell me your
Okay.
birth orders, I'll write a little something in your book and make it
Okay.
personal for you.
Okay.
which
All right.
which you did for me, and I thought it was delightful. And again, I want to wind up by saying I will put your website, I will put links to everything I can get my hands on in the notes of this show. And I encourage anyone who's listening to go check it out. It is such a fun read, and I really did enjoy it. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It's been
Oh,
wonderful.
thanks for having me. It's been a joy.
Thank you. We enjoyed
You can
it.
never
Yeah.
have too much joy.
I understand that, number 4.
Listener, was that a fun episode or what? So interesting. I don't know about you, but there were a few times I almost went a little cattywampus trying to figure out that double birth order concept. That can be a brain twister for sure. I also forgot to ask him about twins, adopted kids, and a bunch of other stuff that I think would be really interesting, but you can only ask so many questions in an hour-long podcast. And what about all that talk about politicians? Holy cow, that was something else. I tell you what, it might almost be worth it to check out the candidates' birth orders before we head to the voting booth for sure. Now, as a true number 4, Dr. Hurst is right. I do enjoy having fun, and so I encourage you to head over to his website and get yourself a copy of his book, which he might even autograph for you if you ask politely. I found it to be a very fun read with a bunch of interesting stories and anecdotes about lots of different people. Not only that, it might help you understand your family dynamic a little better, and with the holidays rolling around, I can't think of a better gift for everyone to enjoy.